I noticed something in a gym I frequent near where I live. When it opened, it was one of those really nice, really large gyms. State of the art. Brand new and shiny, all the bells and whistles. And then the COVID pandemic hit, and some corners had to be cut. Exercise classes were canceled completely. Cleaning became sporadic, substandard at best. Machines breaking and not repaired in a timely manner. Many just left. Weights rusting and dusting, and then massive staff reductions. And it all created this kind of culture of apathy. You could feel it. And then the pandemic ended, but that apathetic culture, it didn't. At first, it didn't really matter. People were excited to get back into the gym and just be able to exercise again. Memberships went back up, but the people could join. They could feel this kind of architecture of malaise. The energy was flat, but being the only gym option in town, good enough became acceptable. Management changed, new employees were hired, but the culture, it didn't shift, not even a little. At the beginning of this year, a new gym broke ground just less than 1 mile away, and it was going to be even bigger, a mega gym. It had a huge staff of people that they were hiring. Personal trainers, cleaners, the whole 9 yards. It had leading edge technology, really cool stuff. Dozens of exercise classes, everything you could imagine. And they also came with an industry reputation. And that reputation centered around them priding themselves on being the best of the best, stem to stern. When you walked in prior to the opening, you could feel the energy. It was vibrant. And it was from the CEO right down to the cleaning staff. Now, knowing this, you would think that the old gym, my gym, would have raised the bar. Got this big bad gym that's about to open up. Here's an opportunity to raise your bar, get things back on track. But no, they carried on with their substandard practices. And when that new gym opened, the old gym lost 60% of its membership overnight. Talk about a catastrophic collapse. And here's the interesting part. Then, and only then, did they start to raise the bar. They brought in new exercise classes. They brought in a good cleaning staff that kept things clean consistently. They repaired machines in a timely manner. They started doing all those things. Now, you already know where I'm going with this. It was too little, too late. And there was this kind of quiet exhaustion that you could feel when you walked into this gym. You could sense it. Now, that's an example of cultural fatigue versus cultural vitality. In a vital organization, that feeling of aliveness is something visitors and newcomers can sense within minutes. Think of an organization like Patagonia. If you haven't been in one of their stores, the energy is vital and you can feel it the minute you walk in. There's this kind of quiet intensity around their mission, which is to make things better in worldwide practices to sustain the planet. And the customers? By default, through their purchases, they know they're joining this mission as advocates of that. You can really, really feel it. Southwest Airlines. They use humor along with operational discipline. And as a matter of fact, it's one of the first things they test for when a new person has applied for a job. Do they have the aptitude to fit into that particular organizational structure? In other words, they're hiring people based on their DNA and scouting people for the right fit into the organization, just like a sports team. The Ritz-Carlton? Amazing. Every day they conduct an employee lineup that enforces their operational excellence policies. How's that translate? Every employee, as an example of one of many of their policies, has permission to spend $2,000 a day per customer to make sure any adversity or challenge is overcome. They don't even have to ask permission. They just have the ability to spend the money to make sure that the experience of a person staying at the Ritz-Carlton is exceptional. And that's at any level. Even the people who change the light bulbs can do this. An organization that is alive with vitality always has policies, tools, and behavioral norms that shape how the organization functions, how the work happens beneath those organizational charts. Stay tuned, because in our next episode, we're going to look at why excellence leaves clues and how those clues can become part of our organizations and how we can uplift ourselves into that vital energy that people feel from the very first point of contact all the way to the top of the organization. I'm Roger Ruge, the Chief Resilience Officer for Pathfinder Resilience, and I don't believe cultures of excellence happen by accident. I believe they're architected.